You sit in that leasing office chair with the laminated floor plan in your hand, acting like you're just comparing, but your phone is still open to a mortgage calculator tab you won't close. And your brain keeps doing this rude little trick where a monthly payment turns into a mood. Rent looks cheaper, buying looks permanent. Right now. And look, this isn't about the American dream, it's about what you can actually carry without quietly hating your life. In a few minutes, I'm going to give you one test that ends the rent versus buy argument for your specific situation. And later, I'm going to show you why waiting is sometimes wisdom and sometimes just denial with better grammar. Stop. You don't need a right answer. You need a decision you can live with for years without resenting yourself. My name is Greek Man. Okay, quick ancient mirror, then we come back. Imagine an old courtyard. A family debating whether to rent a stall near the market or buy a small olive press outside the city. Renting keeps you mobile. Buying locks you in. The mistake isn't buying. The mistake is buying something that makes you panic every season. Now, back to you. It's midnight. You're scrolling listings and you keep landing on the same thought. Rent is basically half the monthly cost. Then you imagine signing a mortgage and your shoulders tighten like a seatbelt. Same brain, same body. That's not drama, that's your nervous system doing math you don't want to do. And here's the moment that gets people. You tell yourself, buying is always better long term. Then reality taps you on the forehead. Long term doesn't matter if the monthly payment makes you fragile in the short term. You can't compound your life if you're constantly one surprise away from panic. So here's the move. Simple, ugly, useful. You stop debating rent versus buy, and you run the payment gravity test. Payment gravity test is one question. If your income stopped for a few months, would this payment pull you underwater, or would you float? That's it. Not vibes, not but rents go up, not but owning is wealth. Float or drown. Because when life gets annoying, and it will, the payment doesn't care about your philosophy. Now picture this. You tour a house and you get emotionally ambushed by a hallway. Like, it's ridiculous how fast it happens. You're imagining furniture before you've even looked up property tax. You're hearing future before you've priced present. That's the danger. You can fall in love with a payment you can't actually afford. So you treat the house like a product, and you treat the payment like a predator. Because the house can be charming, the payment just wants to eat every month. Freeze. This is a trap line people repeat like it's wisdom. Marry the house, date the rate. Sounds clever until you remember dating still costs money, and marriage still requires cash flow. And refinancing is not a guarantee, it's a hope with paperwork. So you plan like the rate stays annoying longer than you want. If refinancing happens, great, that's upside. If it doesn't, you still survive. Another punch people don't plan for: relocation. A random email, a new office, a family thing. Oh, we need you in another city moment. Renting can be a tactical shield when your zip code isn't stable. So here's a blunt rule. Don't buy until your location stops moving. If there's a real chance you're leaving soon, don't bolt yourself to a mortgage out of pride. Okay, first participation action. Do it in your car, do it on your couch, do it wherever. Open notes and write 3 lines. Payment, stability, flexibility. Under payment, write the real all-in monthly number if you bought. Principal plus interest plus taxes plus insurance plus PMI if it applies, plus HOA if it exists, plus a realistic maintenance allowance. Not perfect, just honest. Under stability, write how many months of essentials you could cover if income stopped. Under flexibility, write how likely it is you move in the next 18 to 24 months. Now look at it like an adult, because the rule is you only buy when payment and stability agree, not when your ego does. Now, here's another thing that messes people up: comparison. You meet a high earner who buys easily and you feel behind. Or you see a friend's closing day post and your brain starts rushing your timeline. And yeah, the market is unfair in a bunch of ways. But here's the uncomfortable truth. The rent versus buy argument isn't universal. It's personal. The same market can be easy for one person and crushing for another. So you make decisions from your numbers, not somebody else's highlight reel. Your life doesn't get cheaper because their Instagram looked calm. Now, the next moment that gets you. You decide to rent, and you feel relief until relief turns into laziness. Renting can be smart, but only if you use the gap to build strength instead of upgrading your lifestyle. Because people do this all the time. They rent for freedom, then they spend the freedom. So if you rent, here's a move. Force the buy payment difference into investing automatically. Don't trust yourself to save what's left. There won't be anything left. Your life will hire that money before you do. Second participation action. Quick and stupid simple. Put 2 sticky notes on a wall or a notebook page. One says own, one says rent. Under own, write what ownership buys you. Stability, control, eventual payoff, predictable housing long term, sometimes. Under rent, write what renting buys you. Mobility, lower obligation, time to rebuild income, time to build cash reserve. Now pick the benefit you need most right now, not the one you think you're supposed to want, and set a reminder to reassess later because life changes. Freeze, another trap. You compare a short plan to a long plan and wonder why the answers conflict. They conflict because you're playing different games. A 12-month decision and a 12-year decision do not use the same rules. So pick your horizon first, then pick your move. Now, 2 fears you probably have. Both are valid. Fear 1. If I keep renting, rent resets upward forever, and I end up older with no paid-off shelter and no margin. That fear is real. So the move isn't buy immediately. The move is build a path to eventual ownership, even if today isn't the day. Fear 2. If I buy too early, the payment eats every raise. Repairs show up like surprise quizzes, and I feel trapped in a place I can't sell without paying. Also real. So the move is only buy when the payment leaves room for life and investing, not when it just barely fits on paper. So what do you do right now? Not a slogan, a sequence. Implementation week. Don't pick a house, pick a rule. Decide what affordable means in your body. Like, literally, can you breathe? Can you keep investing? Can you still handle a bad month without turning into a stressed-out gremlin who's doing math in a parking lot? Implementation month. Third participation action. This one is the truth serum. Run a mock mortgage for a full month. Keep renting, but transfer the difference between the would-be mortgage payment and your rent into a separate account every payday. Don't touch it. Label it something blunt like payment test. If you can do that month and still feel calm and your stability number improves, that's a sign you can carry the payment. If you can't do it, if you keep borrowing from it by week 3, then the payment was fantasy, not sustainable. And here's the key. You don't blame yourself. You don't blame the market. You adjust the target. Cheaper home, bigger down payments, higher income, or more time. That's patience, and patience is cheaper than panic. Sideline with a plan, not with excuses. Because the real decision isn't rent or buy. The real decision is fragile or resilient. One cycle says, chase ownership for status. Accept stress. Hope rates save you. The other cycle says, protect cash flow. Build stability. Buy when you can pay and still breathe. Now picture yourself back in that leasing office chair. Same laminated floor plan, same mortgage tab, but you're calm because you're not guessing anymore. You know your horizon, you know your payment gravity test, you know your mock mortgage test, you know what you're building toward. Be honest, you don't need to win the debate, you need to win your next decade.